when News Matters turn to the weekend team tonight at 6 o'clock.
The 75th anniversary of the greatest spectacle in racing had some milestones and, thankfully, some of the old standbys. The milestones were the first black and the first Japanese to make the field. The old standbys? Well, the return of A.J. Foyt after a serious crash and the re-unretirement of Gordon Johncock. The month also had its scary moments. But some things, like Rick Mears on the pole, rarely change. And don't you dare change that dial, because 33 on the line is roaring out of the fourth turn next.
On the line. Brought to you by Hardee's. All kinds of good stuff.
Hi again, everyone. Welcome to 33 on the line. It's fitting that Paul Page and I are standing at the start-finish line here because we have just qualified 33 cars for the 75th edition of this race. Paul, as you came into this month, were there any one or two things that you had on your mind that were really interesting to you or wondered how they'd come out?
Well, I was especially interested in the Buicks because they have the additional 10 inches of boost here. There's certainly the possibility, if not the probability, the Buicks would be on the pole at the end of the first day of qualification. So there was certainly a focus on that, and they were trying very hard to do well at the Speedway. And there was also the issue of the number of cars, actually the number of combinations that were here. At my best count, I was looking at 38. That proved to be a factor during the month.
And absolutely, as we finish the qualifications on the fourth day, it comes really into play because there just weren't that many cars that could really make it exciting at the end. Obviously, it's going to be exciting for Willie T and a couple of other people. So we'll hope to have you along with us for the full hour tonight. One thing we can't control, it's the weather.
So many raindrops.
For the first time in 16 years, Mother Nature almost washed out the opening day at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. But you knew the Speedway folks didn't want to refund all of those tickets. So at 3:16 in the afternoon, the track was open, and guess which owner had the first car out? Scott Brayton kept the Dick Simon tradition going for, we think, the 11th time by being the first car out on the track, and then some others got busy. Was it the new Pennzoil sponsorship and driver's suit, or the win in Australia in April, which made John Andretti so popular with the crowd? And speaking of some new duds, how about Danny Sullivan in the black and gold of Alfa Romeo? Yes, it was a time for old friendships and rivalries to be renewed, and Ronnie says a great time for fans to get autographs from their favorite driver.
Even though some kids have no clue to what all this noise is about, they sometimes come to realize, along with others, that the 500 is an event they can't pass up. Over at Gasoline Alley, the anticipation of just getting a peek at one of the drivers in their ride close up is what it's really all about. Piercing through the fence, anxiously hoping to see that one driver that's in high demand.
AJ, nowhere yet.
As the crews pass by, every kid looks on at their fantasy ride. Just the mere chance to get up close to the cars enhances the glow from a smile only a child can display. However, the real key is to have a pen and pad in hand for that illustrious autograph. Everyone looks out for the drivers, and when they find one, they swarm around him like a bee to honey.
Everywhere else.
And after the job is done, it's time for a review. What do you think about it?
Sloppy handwriting, but glad.
Obviously, the bigger names attract a larger following. When Al Unser Sr. tried to walk through unnoticed, these kids wouldn't take no for an answer.
You know, it's something that you enjoy doing when it's time to do it, you know, and there's sometimes you don't have that time, but as a general deal, you enjoy it.
For John Andretti, his family name immediately draws attention for the autograph seekers. And although this is old hat, he is patiently aimed to please.
It does. I mean, I never ran around and hunted up autographs because I knew most of them, but, you know, when I go to other places and, you know, the hockey games or whatever, you know, I mean, I know how they feel, and you try to make them feel like we're all here and human.
So not only do the drivers get an opportunity to sign autographs, sportscasters become pretty popular out here, too. So once the John Hancock has a new home, it's time for these kids to compare and sometimes wonder, whose signature is this really?
You just run around and try to find people and try to get their autographs. Here's Kevin Cogan.
Think you can get some money for that autograph?
No.
Defending champ Ari Lyondike just enjoyed the first day. Well, sort of. He, too, was hounded by the media, but he did take a spin around the track later.
He wants to go around one. Is that all right? Done?
Yes, Ari just had to take a ride in that Boss Dodge Viper pace car. The Viper would be one of the last cars on the track because rain would close things about an hour early. The next day, rain again would delay the opening of practice, so folks checked out Indiana's other pastime and watched our Pacers beat the Celtics at Boston Garden. This would be the only excitement of the day because rain would close the track early. Well, finally, the drivers got a break. No rain, but boy, did it get cold and windy. Mercury dipped into the 40s and wind gusts up to 20 miles an hour. But that didn't stop 89 champ Emerson Fittipaldi from getting the fast speed of the day, 2:23.9. But the biggest cheers went to a Texan who didn't even get close to that speed. Four-time winner A.J. Foyt was back for the 34th and final time after a miraculous and determined recovery from an awful crash last September at Elkhart Lake. Yes, the toughest you know was back at the Brickyards, but those tender feet still made getting into his Lola a bit awkward. A.J. got up to around 150 miles an hour. Back in '63, that would have won the pole, but today, now it's just a warm-up speed. After a couple of tours around the oval, A.J. parked it and told us how it went.
Oh, it felt good. Just my helmet blowing around because of the windshield, you know, which would make some adjustments. Other than that, it was fine. Car felt pretty good. Yeah, we'll be back out in the morning.
The next day, well, things warmed up, and all eyes were on three-time champ Rick Mears.
226.569 miles an hour.
The five-time Indy 500 pole winner served notice. He was ready to go after number 6 by setting the month's high at 2:26.5. But Rick says he expected to be quick right out of the box.
With the caliber of the teams, you know, today, and the technology that we have, the guys, all the record keeping and the way they set the cars up, they come out of the trailer pretty close. So now you come out of the trailer and fine-tune rather than coming out of the trailer and making big changes and then fine-tuning.
Rick and the other drivers had to pay a price for going fast.
The other one never did pick my helmet up. I mean, he picked my helmet up and then just wallowed my head.
You get bounced around. Paul Page explains why that was happening.
All up and down pit road, there are a number of complaints about buffeting while the cars are running at speed. Well, it's not a new issue. It seems to come up at this time every year. Part of the reason is it's the first time they're running at these kind of speeds. There are some changes, though, in the cars this year, which means they have to learn new situations. This is a cockpit on one of Ari Lyondike's cars, and basically the problem they're trying to solve is the passage at great speed of wind over the top of the cockpit. If it's a short driver, well, it's not too much of a problem, but you've got a man of real stature like Ari Lyondike or even bigger like A.J. Foyt, and they sit up in the cockpit, and the wind coming up here will catch the driver at the top of the helmet. If they turn this windshield up too quickly, Then the wind comes well over the top and catches the top of his helmet and tries to pull the driver out of the car. To solve that, most of the drivers have little vents and fins on the top of their helmets, like this on Arie Luyendyk's, to try and reduce the ability to pull him up out of the cockpit. Not a serious problem, but it is one that takes a little time to solve.
But the Chevys weren't the only ones making noise. Gary Bettenhausen served notice that he was not only back at the Brickyard, but he also had competitive equipment to challenge for the pole. His new Lola Buick turned everyone's head at 2:24.5.
Both had you at 2:25.113, identical times for Todd and down here. They had you at 24.8 up at the line.
It's been so long, well, since I drove for Roger back in '74, since I've had a race car that was even close to being competitive for the first couple of rows, and you know, I'm really on cloud nine, and I'm trying to just stay cool and keep my feet on the ground and keep thinking straight.
You get his autograph.
I got his autograph. I'm proud of him, boy.
And when you turn a 224 in a stock block engine, you quickly draw a crowd. Yes, it was an ideal day for speed. But Michael Andretti warned we shouldn't get too overconfident about these speeds.
What it does is it gets you, you know, sort of a false sense of security. You know, when it starts to get slippery again, then all of a sudden we'll all be scratching our heads again. So, you know, you have to really be careful not to get caught in that trap.
Rock and roll.
The next day, the beat went on, with a couple more Buicks grabbing more of the spotlight. Jimmy Crawford punched the 225. Kevin Cogan opened some eyes with a 226.
Third quickest this month.
The Buick drivers put everyone on notice early that they would be a serious challenger for the pole. The week went quickly in more ways than one and was safe. But the day before pole day would be anything but.
Jones. The news at this hour, state excise police and other authorities patrol the area around the Speedway tonight, looking for people who are pre-race partying too seriously. It's also Memorial Weekend, and today's 500 Festival Parade saluted both war veterans and veteran race drivers. We'll have the highlights for you.
We have some storms on the way for us tonight. We'll see this all out of the way by race time tomorrow.
Okay, and then Steve Bartelstein with one last 500 preview at 10 o'clock. We'll see you then.
Traffic's been crazy around here. Something about chicken.
It's great.
Crispy, juicy, delicious.
Hardee's Fried Chicken. Taste preferred 63 to 37 over Kentucky Fried Chicken original recipe.
Sorry about that. It's the truth. I don't like Kentucky. I don't ever buy Kentucky.
Hardee's chicken is ripping.
It's the best chicken I have ever eaten.
This is the place to stop, Hardee's. Now get 8 pieces of chicken, 4 made from scratch biscuits, coleslaw, and mashed potatoes with gravy for just $6.99.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Prescription drugs help millions of people lead healthier, happier lives. But before you take prescription medication, have it filled at Hooks. Only Hooks has the new RX Watch system to screen your prescriptions for potential drug interactions, drug allergies, and for how your prescription might interact with your pre-identified health conditions. Plus, Hooks RX Watch has a 24-hour 800 number for emergencies. RX Watch. It's another reason to trust Hooks. Ask your pharmacist for details.
Now at Pickway, save with smart buys on summer footwear fashions for the whole family. Great canvas casuals and sandals are now just $3.99 to $7.99. Smart style, smart savings at Pickway Shoes. Smart choice. For more smart buys, get into Pickway now. This entire selection of sandals is Pickway priced at 2 pairs for just $20. Now that's smart fashion value for your money. From Pickway Shoes. Smart choice.
Your Indiana Shell dealers want to congratulate the winner of Shell's Pick the Pole contest, Keith Frulich of Indianapolis. Keith won this beautiful Dodge Stealth 500 parade car by correctly picking Rick Mears as the winner of the pole position for this year's Indianapolis 500. You too can win at Shell by picking up a 2-liter bottle of Pepsi for only 89 cents with gas purchase. Hey Keith, what kind of gas will you use in your new Dodge Stealth?
There'll be nothing but SU-2000 in this car.
And Shell, you make the difference.
In almost 13 years, Rick Mears had done almost everything at the 500. Everything, that is, except crash. A broken wheel nut blew Rick's right rear tire and sent him flying into the first turn wall.
It's like we had one of the pins that holds the wheel nut on. The lock may have busted off, which in turn let the wheel come loose.
For a time, many of us had flashbacks to Rick's terrible '84 crash in Montreal when he badly injured both feet. But Rick would hop out of his car with only a badly bruised right foot, hop into a waiting car for more x-rays at Methodist Hospital downtown. And he assured us he would be back.
You feeling okay? Yeah, we're fine, thank you. You okay? Yeah, we're good.
And about 3 hours later, he made good on his promise by getting back into his backup and putting everyone's worries aside by running a very impressive 226.5. But while Rick and his Penske teammates were celebrating, impending disaster was coming out of turn 4 and into the pits. Rookie Mark Dismore had all in his hometown of Greenfield, Indiana, pulling for him to make the race. But a more important race became one to rescue him from his demolished car. Here was our view from the pits when it happened. Car parts flew everywhere, some as far as 150 feet down pit row. Mark Dismore's 3-year-old Penske was split in two. He was pinned underneath, still conscious, still moving, but in serious condition. Dismore broke his neck and all his extremities. He was flown by Lifeline to Methodist Hospital and spent 6 hours in surgery. He's still recovering, but may never drive again. Dismore's crash put a hole in the pit wall and closed the track an hour early. Then back to reality, the drivers focused on the task at hand, drawing spots for pole day. Jonathan Bird drew the first spot for Stan Fox's backup, but neither Fox nor Mario Andretti's backup would make the first run. No, that honor went to 4-time Indy 500 winner and sentimental favorite A.J. Foyt.
I just remember once when A.J. drew number 1 and we got the pole position. So that was on my mind. I looked up to the Lord. I said, help me now. I really need it. And number 3 was perfect.
Race programs. Programs here.
Beautiful.
Make a pass. Make a pass.
Other than race day, pole day is the biggest day during the month of May. It's also one of the most intense. Each driver gets at least one chance to go all out for 4 laps to try to get the fastest average speed to win the pole position. As expected, Stan Fox and Mario Andretti pulled their backup in order to give 4-time winner A.J. Foyt the honor of being first out. Steve Bartelstein has the results.
So this day is especially meaningful to us all. And by the luck of the draw, he is the very first driver to qualify here today. He passed his rookie test clear back in the year 1958.
He's been a winner in Indy cars. He's been in sprint cars, midgets, sports cars, all I've ever run stock cars. So, he's got to be one of the greatest, if not the greatest that's ever been.
He's driven in 359 championship races. 149 times he's finished in the top 5.
Get a good look, because this is history, the end of an era. As his crew looked down, those immortal words came booming through all 4 turns of the speedway. A.J. turned the first lap at 2:21 plus, about where he planned to be. A.J.'s Army heard the news. His crew took one big sigh. Things were working. As his tires heated up, his lap times did too. And big fans of A.J., their hearts raced with him. Finally, it was over. A.J. had averaged just over
222 miles per hour. As the Speedway rose to its feet, it was again time for AJ to pose, hug, and acknowledge those cheers. Not many thought he'd be back after his accident last fall, but here he is.
You know, the comments was that I wouldn't be walking and I'd be on crutches and somebody'd have to help me in my race car. And I throwed all that stuff away and I'm going to walk.
But for now, he rides to the cheers.
The storied career of A.J. Foyt continues here today.
Supertex had taken the pole, and for a while there, we thought he might keep it, as his other Chevy Challengers failed to top that 222.4. Mario, for example, did a 221.8. Son Michael, a 229. Bobby Rahal had gotten as high as 226 in practice. But Rahal would have to settle for a 221.4 and the inside of row 2.
I don't think it's the engine, you know, or I don't think it's the wings. I mean, we're running as little wing as anybody, and I think there's something. I don't think the track's changed that much. You know, maybe a little bit, but nothing severe.
Then there was the heat. Jim Crawford's Buick, a boss start, a 220 on the first lap, but he dropped down to a 215 on his final tour.
The last 2 laps were pretty scary, yeah. The back end was trying to jump out from underneath me, and the boost was coming and going, and it was like a bad dream.
No one could beat the heat. Well, no one, that is, except Rick Mears. Rick and Roger Penske made the big call around 1 in the afternoon.
Just saying those guys are in the back of the line now. We could be right back there with them. Yeah. And run at the same time.
Rick could have waited to see what defending champ Arie Luyendyk and teammate Emerson Fittipaldi had up their sleeves. No way, though. He'd go for it. Rick started with a bang, a 223.4. And Rick got even faster after that with 3 laps over 224 miles an hour for a 4-lap average of 224.113 and a possibly unprecedented 6th Indianapolis 500 pole.
Considering the circumstances with the, you know, the T car and everything that we went through with the race car, we're fortunate to be able to be here running it all. So, and we had a good run for the way the conditions were. The Marlboro car worked very well. The track was very slippery. I feel like we earned the speed that we had today.
And Rick was quick to point out who the real heroes were today.
The guys have done a tremendous job with the Marlboro car. I mean, it's working very well, and it's been working very well all week long. So, and especially my hats off to the crew for really, you know, turning the T car around and having it prepared like it is.
For an unprecedented 6th time, Rick Mears found himself leading the pack of 33 in the greatest spectacle in racing. Car owner Roger Penske had put one of his drivers on the pole, but he also prevented another from trying to do the same. Emerson Fittipaldi tried to make a run late in the afternoon, and he came out smoking with 2 laps over 222. Then things took a strange twist after a third at 223.
Emerson Fittipaldi, the white flag, 1 lap remains.
Yellow.
Yes, it's faster. Over 223 miles an hour. 40.292.
Roger Penske had called the run off. Some thought Emo had run out of fuel, but Penske and Emo denied that. Penske was a riverboat gambler going for broke. He rolled the dice, betting on cooler temperatures later in the afternoon. It got cooler, all right. It also rained.
We're concerned about, you know, what the 2 Buicks and Luyendyk can do. Now, I don't know if it was going to rain or something.
So Emo lost a chance to repeat as pole winner, but he wasn't alone. Defending champ Arie Luyendyk finished the day all wet, too, as time ran out.
You could have a smart saver home and save up to 30% on your heating and cooling costs. Or you could stay with gas. For more information on smart saver homes, give us a call.
It's deer season sale day. Now is the time to save at your full-service John Deere dealer. See Roberts Farm Equipment in Lebanon, Healy Equipment Company in Franklin, Fairmount Implement in Fairmount,
or Rickert Implement in Winchester. Buy now and get a John Deere rider for as low as $62 a month, or an STX lawn tractor for as little as $79 a month. See the experts for parts and equipment you need at your full-service John Deere dealer.
Everybody knows that milk's for babies.
Milk for soft baby skin. Milk for strong baby bones, bright baby eyes.
Baby milk for you.
Replacing your old windows with Andersen windows is an investment in the future. And when you invest in them, your home will show its appreciation for years to come. Here's where to find the book that's filled with beautiful Andersen window and patio door ideas.
Brands Incorporated, Columbus, Black Hebert Lumber, Indianapolis, Metzger Lumber Center, Lebanon, Guthrie Service Star, Indianapolis.
Smart Saver Homes save up to 30% on heating and cooling. And you're still buying a gas-heated home? Well, here's something else you might be interested in. For more information on Smart Saver Homes, give us a call.
The next day, Mother Nature would cooperate, and both Ari and Emmo would make their runs, but neither would top Rick Mears' pole-setting pace even a day late. Ari would make the middle of row 5 with a 2:23.8, while Emmo would move outside of him with a 2:23 and change. Emmo was in the field with another fast ride, but not the pole. Despite the outcome, he said he had no regrets.
I think the team effort, the teamwork was correct. Try to postpone my run to late afternoon, but you know, Mother Nature didn't change. Sometimes Roger can do anything, but he was not able to change the weather last night.
But the brightest moment and most emotional moment came from Monrovia, Indiana's Gary Bettenhausen.
For the past 17 years, the only sure thing for Gary Bettenhausen was that he struggled to make the race. If it wasn't for a lack of funds, it was a lack of good equipment. Well, this May has been much merrier thanks to a new 91 Lola Buick. Boy, can it fly.
Several years I had cars that were just barely capable of making the race, and I always seemed to manage to squeak in. And this year when the entry list came out, I didn't even have to look at it because I knew that wasn't going to be a problem.
Maybe not a problem for Gary, but his former car owner Roger Penske was plenty worried.
It's a long time since Roger Penske had his watch on me.
And on this day, Gary Bettenhausen showed why Penske and the Chevys were concerned. Gary was more than right on. His car was on a rail and getting faster with every tour. He got one at 2:24.8. Come on, Gary. Quick. And guess what? The car could have gone faster.
Really, that was a conservative run. I had a little understeer in the car and had to start dropping down below the white line, and rather than adjusting the bars to compensate for the push. And I just, you know, there was no reason we couldn't get the pole today, so we just went for kind of a conservative run.
Well, I don't think the other guys would have called Gary's blistering 2:24.468 conservative. Certainly not Gary's wife, Waveland. It would have won the pole the day before, but instead, Gary will have to settle for a different pole, the one on row 5.
I think maybe I proved that I still know where the 4 corners are around this place.
Now, how fast is 224 miles an hour? Well, if Gary was going to Chicago, he could do it in less than an hour. He could reach Los Angeles and work on his 10 and 9.5 hours and get to a play in the Big Apple in about 3.5. It almost beats flying.
For Gary B., this was one of the greatest days in his racing career, but it was one of the worst for Dominique Dobson. Dominique came out better than his car. He broke his left leg from the thigh down, but his year-old Lola was a complete loss. So Dominique Dobson, like many others who failed to qualify on the first weekend, would have a tough road ahead of them. Well, Paul, after that first weekend of qualification, I think we really had some stories that we were thinking about. First of all, the Penske situation in qualifying. That was interesting.
Well, I think Roger surprised everybody, including himself. He took a gamble.
He held Emerson Fittipaldi off till late in the day, and I think he was more afraid of the Buicks than he really needed to be. He wanted to make sure that the Penske organization had a car on the pole. I think at the same time, he also wanted to give Fittipaldi a nice equal chance against Rick Mears to qualify as his own driver for the pole. Either way, it didn't work.
Paul, I think another one of the great stories that first weekend, and it's too bad it didn't happen on the first day of qualification, was that of Gary Bettenhausen. I mean, I think Gary, everybody wanted him to do it so badly. He wanted to do it so badly, and then it didn't quite come off. But it still worked out that he was the quickest guy out here, so that was a great story. And then there was one more.
Well, to my way of thinking, the best story of the entire month, and that's A.J. Foyt. Who would have ever thought, when they wrote the script for this 75th running, that he would have started in the center of the front row in the first car out to qualify, and looking as strong as he is? I think there are a lot of people that would be wrong to count A.J. out. I think you could see a fifth win.
Be a perfect ending, wouldn't it?
Oh, it'd be a fairy tale.
A.J. Foyt was fortunate to have his own ride, but many of his veteran peers didn't. Four-time winner and 13 driver expert Al Unser Sr., no ride. Three-time winner Johnny Rutherford, not entered. And the only gas the gas man Tom Sneva had was in his pitching arm. The three of them have won 79 IndyCar races, but none could find a decent ride.
You know, you don't see it in other sports. You don't see somebody going to one of the teams in the Super Bowl and saying, hey, coach, how much will it cost me to throw a couple passes in the Super Bowl today? And it doesn't happen anywhere else. But Indianapolis, if you've got enough money, you can play in the biggest sporting event ever.
10 years ago, folks would have called Tom Sneva a renegade for making statements like that, but now big-name veterans on the outside looking in are echoing the gas man's message.
The companies don't have the dollars, advertising dollars, to foot the bill, and it's making it tough on the racing world to have to sit there and try to eke out a season on X number of dollars when you really need a lot more.
Because of the economy, things that have happened in the past, it's just now catching up. The racing fraternity it's gotten very, very expensive, and we have less car owners, and then there were certain obligations put on from Ilmore engines that the big teams couldn't run a second or a third car, whatever you want to call it. So that put a hamper on things.
And Al, like most veterans, wasn't going to get in a car unless it had one of those hard-charging, dominating Chevy engines. But Chevy was being more than stingy with the power plants.
It's not exactly a Chevrolet decision. It's an Ilmore decision, business decision based on the production qualities and the support technicians and so on to support this effort. We have 12 cars in the field right now, and that is stretching the capability of supporting winning programs.
So Chevy refused to give an engine to Big Al until the last minute. By then, and it was too late for Al to get enough money together, so he and Lone Star JR will be spectators on race day. On Tuesday of week 2, it rained on everyone's parade. Well, not on two-time Indy 500 champ Gordon Johncock. Gordy would have been either a fan or working on his farm on race day, but he struck a deal to drive the Bird Hemmelgarn racing back up. He had 3 days to get up to speed on the second qualification weekend, but Gordy, always the aggressive one, says even though he hasn't turned left in about 2 years, this will be like getting back on a bike.
That's exactly the way I felt when I was off for, I don't remember, a year and a half or 2 years, and I got back in an ARS car out to Phoenix. And, you know, there was, I was thinking about it, you know, what was it like after being out a year or two, you know, but it was very easy to get back in and go.
Roberto Guerrero, like Gordy, thought he would be on the outside looking in during the month of May.
My official job for May this year was because Katie's working for TV. So my official job was to be a babysitter, to look after the kids. So now that we're both working, I don't know what we're going to do.
Well, the first thing Roberto had to do was find a babysitter for sons Marco and Evan Michael. Then he had to drop his lawsuit against former employer Pat Patrick, who re-signed him to drive a second Alfa Lola. The deal would have been struck the first week, but the team was having engine problems.
The fact that they were having a lot of reliability problems the first week and whatever, you know, it was tough for Alpha to decide if they wanted to risk, you know, having twice as many problems as they were having, and that's really why it took quite a while to make the decision.
And talk about day and night. This year's car handles so much better than last year's, doesn't it?
Just the chassis alone should be a huge difference, and the engine is improved a lot, so you know, it definitely should be a lot better than last year.
Yes, veteran drivers were hopping into cars quicker than you can say, gentlemen, start your engines. On Friday of week 2, Tom Sneva became the 3rd member of the Menard stable. It's also had Gary Bettenhausen and Kevin Cogan. Now, he could have gone out and tested the 89 Lola that very afternoon, but he didn't. Something about a 3 o'clock tee time. Only the gas man would think shaking down and qualifying a 2-year-old car the same day is fun.
We'll find out how that goes tomorrow, but you know, that's the only way I can rationalize doing it is that you're always looking for challenges in your life, and race drivers are no different, and you know, it'll be fun tomorrow.
Dominic Dobson returned to the track Friday of week 2 with his broken left leg immobilized, but looks here are a bit deceiving. Dobson really didn't have any trouble driving his backup. He got up to 206 miles per hour in a practice run. Dobson was counting his blessings after his crash, and Tony Bettenhausen would do the same after this turn 4 spin in his backup. Talk about riding a wild horse, or in this case, wild horsepower. Tony B somehow came out of this one without touching the wall. It's the kind of thing which can leave a driver speechless.
It certainly surprised me. I thought, I ain't even trying hard yet. Boy, and round it went. Better get somebody back in the garage. Did the car go by yet? No, I don't know. I think maybe I better go.
You know, if you come out to the Speedway, chances are very good you'll see some strange things and strange people. How strange? Well, let's let Bart tell you.
Fashions at the Speedway, or lack thereof. From head, I've seen some better days, to toe. The red and purple go great. Back to hats. Western styles seem to be the rage this spring season, although stovepipe seems to be making a comeback. There's high hair and high brows, nifty plaid. This guy's landing planes. Hey, look, easy boy, it's just jewelry. And what about autographs? Max Truby's collected them for years. From Whoopi to Howdy, all the big names are on Max's back.
Well, my godson gave me the vest about 5 years ago, and she said, why don't you start collecting autographs? I said, well, that's a good idea. She always has good ideas, so that's what I started doing about 5 years ago.
And speaking of celebs, this guy must be important. Yep, already avoiding the media. And could it be, hey, Elvis? It is him, wow. Then there's these guys working on their physique. Uh-huh. This hat's looking for a sponsor. This shirt's looking for a picnic table. And Ducky, my boy, he's just looking for Chuck Lofton.
For 35 years, Midas has been providing quiet.
Well, it's time we made some noise. Midas announces Quiet Riot Days.
We're celebrating our anniversary with the best undercar services in the business, guaranteed, and great Midas values, like this great offer on the Economizer muffler. It's only $24.95. That's right, $24.95, installed and guaranteed. So get to the riot, and we'll provide the quiet. The Midas Quiet Riot. For great values, nobody beats Midas. Nobody!
You got the right one, baby. You know, I just love this new Diet Pepsi song, but do you think it's caught on yet?
You got the right one, baby.
Got the right one, baby.
With 100% NutraSweet.
Traffic's been crazy around here. Something about chicken.
It's great.
Crispy, juicy, delicious.
Hardee's Fried Chicken. Taste preferred 63-37 over Kentucky Fried Chicken original recipe.
Sorry about that. It's the truth. I don't like Kentucky. I don't ever buy Kentucky.
Hardee's chicken is ripping.
It's the best chicken I have ever eaten.
This is the place to stop, Hardee's.
Now get 8 pieces of chicken, 4 made-from-scratch biscuits, coleslaw, and mashed potatoes with gravy for just $6.99.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
It seems that every time you turn around these days,
Another pain reliever with ibuprofen in it is comparing itself to Tylenol. But you know what they can't say? They can't say they're gentler than Tylenol, because they're not. Tylenol won't irritate your stomach the way ibuprofen sometimes can. That's a medical fact. And is it any wonder that today hospitals use Tylenol 14 times more than ibuprofen? Tylenol, the pain reliever hospitals use most.
Day 3 of qualifications started with a bang. Dean Hall became the third of 4 victims to lose it in turn 4. Car owner Kent Baker said later, "This car is toast." Hall spent the night at Methodist with head and leg injuries and was through for the month. Now, there's been a lot of controversy over the safety of turn 4, and Paul Page takes a closer look.
A series of accidents at the north end of the main straightaway, like this one last Friday involving Mark Dismore, is causing safety officials, both in the United States Auto Club and at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, to begin to take notice. The area in question is the north end of the pit area, most specifically, the wall that leads down into the pit. Now, that hole in the wall was made by Mark Dismore. There are plenty of other marks just like it. The Speedway is always at the forefront of safety, so there are a number of considerations. One is to remove the wall that separates the pit area from the main straightaway for 40 or 50 feet, allowing the cars to go back out onto the track when they ricochet off the inside wall. Another possibility, and one of those in fact discussed at some length by some of the officials, including Chief Steward Tom Binford, is to extend the pit wall all the way down into the 4th turn. There are 2 different locations they could extend the pit wall to, but it would have the same effect. It would keep cars totally out of the pit entrance, while at the same time having the benefit of slowing the cars down on their approach to the pits, which has always been another concern of safety.
Later, rookie Ted Krappus would end his dream of making the race after he too lost it in turn 4, but with tragedy came triumph for many drivers, the most noteworthy, Japanese driver Hiro Matsushita. He had carefully prepared for this moment. Now it was time to make all that practice pay off. Each lap brought Hiro closer and closer to being one. The crowd seemed to sense that. And his crew reveled in the moment after Hiro became the first Japanese driver to qualify for Indy. For this 30-year-old California video game junkie, making the greatest spectacle in racing was much more exciting than a game of Nintendo.
I felt just, it's done. I got the infield.
And while making Speedway history was new for Hiro, it was old hat for veteran car owner Dick Simon.
I was proud to be a part of Janet Guthrie's program, and now, and then Terrell Pomeroth from the first Finnish driver, and now Hiro Matsushita with the fastest Japanese driver of the day today. And not only the fastest Japanese driver, but so far the fastest driver.
Qualifying for Indy was obviously a first for Hiro Matsushita. It was old hat for Roberto Guerrero, who made it after taking his 91 Alpha around the track at an average speed of 2:14.0. But perhaps the gutsiest and toughest run was turned in by Tom Sneva. His first circuit in his 89 Lola came in the morning practice, and while the gas man could have gotten more out of it, he decided to make a qualification run anyway. He would use up a lot of track, but he still made it, at least temporarily, with a 2:13.189. Sneva later was bumped by Willie T. Ribbs.
We had, a lot more understeer than we anticipated, and so we had to, run her on the bottom and the top. Fortunately, we've been riding the greens mowers at the golf course, so we've been working on that grass a little bit.
Tom Terrific had gotten all he could out of his car, but not as much as rookie Buddy Lazier. Only the heavens knew what was on Buddy's mind before his run. Last year, he got bumped by John Paul Jr. on his college graduation day. But on this day, Buddy would have the ride of his life. His best speed this month had been 2:09. Now, had is the operative word, that is, until he shocked everyone.
218.4 miles an hour.
And it only got better from there as Buddy, like his father Bob 10 years earlier, made it with a surprising 2:18.6.
Figured out. We had some that we were just kind of saving. There's no reason to tip our hand at, at the very onset of practicing, but it felt really good. I was a bit surprised to see we're at 2:18.
Now, guys like Buddy Lazier, who anticipated rain, were rewarded. But others like Didier Taze would have to wait until the next day. On the final day of qualifications, the Speedway honored our nation's war veterans. But one of the Speedway's vets showed he could still run with the youngsters. Last week, two-time champ Gordon Johncock was working his farm in Michigan. Last Sunday, Gordy was moving just a little bit faster than his tractor. He made his 23rd Indianapolis 500 with a 2:13.8.
It is a relief to get qualified because we did struggle all week long and we weren't really getting that good a speed, and was getting a little bit discouraged. And so I'm really happy right now. Probably the most happy to get qualified that I've ever been.
And Dominic Dobson can share those same feelings with Gordy because a week ago, he was in a hospital after a serious crash. But like any tough racer, Dominic got his broken left leg stabilized and qualified with a speed of 215.3. Dominic was definitely counting his blessings afterwards.
Certainly, for this phase of the month, after all the problems we've had, it's certainly a happy ending to the day.
No, I don't have a car.
Brownsburg's Johnny Parsons made the show temporarily, but was then bumped by Randy Lewis, who finished a struggling month in row 11. Brownsburg's Pancho Carter joined him on the inside of that row, but the story of the day was the triumphant rebound of Willie T. Ribbs. Here's Lee.
When Jackie Robinson broke baseball's color barrier back in the 50s, he was called a pioneer, a role model for the minorities. Today, there are plenty of black role models in most sports, except IndyCar racing. That is, until now.
Really to be your own best critic and your own best cheerleader. I mean, you have a duty to yourself and to your team and to your family and for all those who support you.
Willie T. Ribbs had no problem winning the support of the fans, just support of those with money. Comedian Bill Cosby helped start the team, but that money soon ran out, and that's when Willie's true character was tested.
Takes a little bit getting used to.
Although Willie was an accomplished Trans Am champ, he struggled on the Speedway's 2.5-mile oval. But then Willie had a special talk with Rick Mears. And not only did he pass his rookie test with flying colors, but got a personal best of 213 miles an hour.
And I want to thank Rick Mears, because Rick Mears spent an hour with me today, and I owe this to Rick Mears. He helped me a lot.
But not even Rick Mears could prepare him for the bad luck to come. 3 blown engines and the blown turbocharger almost closed shop for good.
Any chance of getting another one in here at all?
I don't know. I just think we are done.
But you know, the racing fraternity is a close one. And Buick, along with others, came to the rescue with parts and engines. They kept Willie T's dream alive clear up until the last day of qualifications. Three laps over 217 were more than enough to put him in the show at 217.3. It was also good enough to write him into racing history.
I've been in this business all my life. I know the ups and downs. It's not a Hollywood movie, it's auto racing. And you're going to have those. Although this was a hell of a script today.
as Yogi Berra said, it ain't over till it's over. So with time running out and the field full, Didier Taze took the green flag just as the final gun sounded. Gordon Johncock was the man on the bubble, but it was Taze bubble bursting when he couldn't get up to speed by the second lap. It was a heartbreaking ending for his crew and a joyous finale for Lee Koonsman and Johncock's crew. The field was set from the bottom to the top for the Diamond Anniversary edition of the Indianapolis 500. All we had to do is get through Carburation Day.
Right here.
Don't worry, call the CarX man. You know why I came to CarX for my muffler? I came for the overzealous expression of gratitude I received.
He came for the service.
I came for the superior expertise that's backed by this documentation.
He came for the lifetime guarantee.
You know why I came to CarX? I came for the economic ramifications.
He came for the price.
Rattle, rattle, thunder, clatter, boom, boom, boom. Don't worry, call the CarX man.
Traffic's been crazy around here. Something about chicken.
Great.
Crispy, juicy, delicious.
Hardee's Fried Chicken. Taste preferred 63 to 37 over Kentucky Fried Chicken original recipe.
Sorry about that. It's the truth. I don't like Kentucky.
I don't ever buy Kentucky. Hardee's chicken is ripping.
It's the best chicken I have ever eaten.
This is the place to stop, Hardee's.
Now get 8 pieces of chicken, 4 made-from-scratch biscuits, coleslaw, and mashed potatoes with gravy for just $6.99.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
It's deer season sale day. Now is the time to save at your full-service John Deere dealer.
See Reynolds Farm Equipment in Fishers, Farmers Tractor and Implement in Rushville, Harper Implement in Swayze, H&J Lawn and Garden in Carmel, or McGavick Outdoor Power Equipment in Kokomo. Buy now and get a John Deere rider for as low as $62 a month, or an STX lawn tractor for as little as $79 a month. See the experts for parts and equipment you need at your full-service John Deere dealer.
If you like to take pictures, take your film to Walmart. With Walmart Film Developing, you never need a coupon to save on Spectra 35 service. You get Kodak Color Watch quality and 24 big 4x6 prints in a free mini album for only $5.86 every day. So drop the coupon habit and drop your film at Walmart. Walmart Film Developing. Coupon prices without the coupon. Always.
Don't make any plans for Memorial Day weekend unless it's for Highland's 2-day Memorial Day sale. Sunday and Monday only, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Absolutely everything in the store is on sale. Remote VCRs as low as $159, CD players from $89, air conditioners starting at $177, plus 6 months same as cash. That's no interest for 6 months. The pool, the picnic, and the cookout can wait. Highland's colossal Memorial Day sale is Sunday and Monday only. Don't miss it.
For a while, it looked like Mother Nature would wash out Carburation Day for the first time in 10 years. But the clouds open at 12:30, and every car, with the exception of Pancho Carter's practice, pole sitter Rick Mears was still dialed in for the race, and like his crew, feared no one.
On race day, the conditions are going to be the same for everybody, so then you'll see how everybody's running. They're going to move up, obviously. But this race can be won from any seat in the house, so you never look at a particular spot anyway.
Mears' confidence was only second to Gary Bettenhausen, who's been having the time of his life at the Brickyard thanks to his reliable Buick engine.
Yeah, I would say the most confidence I've ever had. Even when I drove for Roger Penske, you know, I was a new kid on the block and didn't really know how well I was going to do. But I'm a little more experienced now, and I think I know, how to run the race a little bit more intelligently.
And then came the pit crew's moment in the spotlight. The Miller Pit Stop Contest had a dream matchup with Bobby Rahal's Craco team against Danny Sullivan's Genuine Draft crew. And the result couldn't have been better. Sullivan's crew took the home court advantage and won it in 13 seconds. Yes, it was definitely Miller time. Everyone survived Carburation Day, and this is how they'll line up for tomorrow's race.
35 years, Midas has been providing quiet.
Well, it's time we made some noise. Midas announces Quiet Riot Day.
We're celebrating our anniversary with the best undercar services in the business, guaranteed, and great Midas values, like this great offer on the Economizer muffler. It's only $24.95. That's right, $24.95, installed and guaranteed. So get to the riot, and we'll provide the quiet. The Midas Quiet Riot. For great values, nobody beats Midas. Nobody!
Get ready for Hollywood's Welcome Home Desert Storm Parade with honorary co-chairman Bob Hope and Jimmy Stewart. Join hosts Bob Eubanks and Lisa Gibbons for a holiday salute to the soldiers of Desert Storm and all United States veterans. Don't miss Hollywood's top stars in a spectacular parade featuring state-of-the-art military equipment, a demonstration of air power, and a special tribute to each branch of the armed services. The Hollywood Welcome Home Desert Storm Parade.
Hollywood's Welcome Home Desert Storm Parade, Monday morning at 10 on WTHR.
Traffic's been crazy around here. Something about chicken.
It's great.
Crispy, juicy, delicious.
Hardee's Fried Chicken. Taste preferred 63 to 37 over Kentucky Fried Chicken original recipe.
Sorry about that, it's the truth. I don't like Kentucky.
Never ever buy Kentucky. Hardee's chicken is ripping.
It's the best chicken I have ever eaten.
This is the place to stop, Hardee's.
Now get 8 pieces of chicken, 4 made from scratch biscuits, coleslaw, and mashed potatoes with gravy for just $6.99.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
This welcome back party was made possible in part by Hooks.
Hurry up, Tom's coming.
Last month, Tom had an accident.
Okay, what have we got?
RX Watch.
With one call to the Hooks 24-hour RX Watch computer headquarters, the doctors got a report on Tom's health conditions and prescriptions. Information that may have saved his life. Only Hooks has RX Watch, and if you use it just once, it's worth it.
33 on the line. Brought to you by your neighborhood Hooks Drugstore and by Hardee's. All kinds of good stuff.
So the field is set for the Indianapolis 500. Who will win? Beers from the poll. How about AJ for a 5th time? Maybe Gary B will finally win one for Buick. Al Unser Jr. is the choice of the sports writers, but at Indy, anything can and usually does happen. Well, that's all for now. We'll see you at 8 tomorrow night with The Roar is Over. I'm Don Hein. Good night, everyone.
When the going gets tough, the tough get going with new Center 13 Sunrise.
Avoid 465 northbound and you'll be okay.
Helicopter traffic reports exclusively on new Center 13 Sunrise.
So why didn't you go to the discount muffler place like I did?
I decided quality was just as important as low price, so I went to CarX.
Yeah, but how much did you pay?
Less than you did.
Oh.
Don't worry, call the CarX man.
The sun comes up, the sky wakes too, and everything smells fresh and new.
Say hello to Morning Fresh Snuggle Fabric Softener.
Fresh as the morning breeze, fresh as the morning dew. Now everything you wash smells fresh and new.
It's true. With Morning Fresh Snuggle Fabric Softener,
everything you wash smells fresh and new.
Let's talk chicken parts. Legs, wings, breasts. The only part good enough for Shoney's. Chicken nuggets. Well, they're... I'm not exactly sure where they are.
A cheeseburger and a Coke. A cheeseburger and a Coke.
I could have gone to Shoney's, but think of the time I'm saving here.
I said a cheeseburger and a Coke. Somebody talk to me.
The Roar is Over, Sunday night at 8 o'clock on 13 WTHR.